But all right, let's talk about this dog thing. I don't know how to say that. It can win. So when this is placed, if I have a grade 3 or greater, do not like that. Vanguard with Magnolia in its card name, Counterblast, Soul Blast, and discard a card from your hand. Too much cost. Search your deck for up to one card with Magnolia in its card name from different than your Vanguard. That's annoying. Up to one grade 0 normal order, reveal it, put it to your hand, and if you search your deck, shuffle your deck. Very strange. I do not understand this card. This card very much confuses me. I don't understand why you have to discard. That kind of sucks. I don't like that this does nothing else. Doesn't get power, doesn't do anything else, just searches and then that's it. Right now, I don't think there's any good normal orders aside from all the intelligence. So that part's very strange. And then I don't like that it's locked to grade 3. So you can't use it beforehand, which is kind of annoying. Not that it really matters, but that just seems unnecessary. But then also the fact that it's, you know, Soul Blast discard 1 in a deck that doesn't really plus outside of Inlet Pulse. Oh, that's barely a plus, right? Inlet Pulse is like 0.5 of a plus because you get Soul and draw, but you lose a unit. So, but overall, this is really good. You have to play it just to get your Elder and your Magnolia Masques. It's like a 3 of, I want to say, in both decks. You just have to play this. A 3 or 2 of, you just have to play it to get it, and that's it. I don't know about the second part. The second part is nice that they threw in there because it has future proofing. They can make a cool grade 0 normal order. It sucks that it's normal order specifically also, but you know, it has some future proofing where they can print something that's pretty cool. Wild Intelligence, I don't know if that's it, Chief. It is nice to play this, you know, search out Elder, or have Elder play this, search out Wild Intelligence, use it, go into Elder, call out, play Wild Intelligence, call out the Pharaoh, go into Elder. That kind of stuff is kind of cool. It doesn't necessarily fix a lot for the deck, but the fact that it's not top 5 like the Mask or the Serral is also insane. So the fact that you just straight up add it is really good. But like, I'm just comparing it to something like Freiheit, who is CB1 discard, but he can search out both and then play a brick from your hand at the same time, and he's usable in other decks. So that might just be the difference between a double R and a triple rare, because he also does another thing. First time I read this, I did miss the different name part. Now you're sad. It's fine. The different name part doesn't matter because you have to just use it. You can't, well, yeah, it does suck you can't use it after your grade 3 turn essentially, but it could be worse. Just unless you search your Persona Rise, it'd be an instant staple that fixes the mass. Yep, 100%. And it's not even that broken because again, you have to Soul Blast discard 1. So I can't wait until we get a new Magnolia Tiny Child. That's kind of what I was hoping for. Ironically, when I first saw this, I didn't see that it was locked to grade 3 or greater. So I thought it would be cool if they give you a new grade 2 that, like, I don't know, copies the name of Lattice and then changes the effect of Charis to grade 1. And then you can use this on turn 2 to grab Magnolia. That'd be kind of cool. Or something like that, right? But anyways, none of that is true. The simplest solution would be to have a new Lattice and Charis. Yeah, that is true. But I'm asking for 1 card. You're asking for 2. You know, we're barely going to get 1. 2 is a stretch. So this guy's good. I don't feel like he needs as many restrictions as he has, but he's definitely good, right? He has kind of has to be played, but then we got the big dog here, a big cat lion dog animal, Silverhorn Beast Banaspati. So this one is pretty interesting for a couple of reasons. When this is placed on rear, other than in battle phase, Counterblast, Soul Blast. Which is, the battle phase part is interesting because I don't think there's any way to play something in battle phase other than like maybe a Vanguard effect or something like that. There might not even be any, honestly. So that's interesting because then it also says to choose a Silverhorn Vanguard. Doesn't specify which is nice. So also future proofed. But I know it's supposed to be because it's supposed to like Mask and Elder, but you choose a Silverhorn Beast Vanguard. So you can technically use this turn 2 also. But it won't... Oh no, it works on turn 2. in its card name, and then for every 2 grades of that unit, you call a grade 3 or less. Ooh, actually, that's interesting. So hold on, you can use this turn 2 with a Silverhorn Beast Vanguard, Counterblast, Soul Blast 1. For every 2 grades of that unit, so grade 2 you call 1, you can call a grade 3 or less. So you can get out like an Inlet Pulse or something, or some other grade 3 on turn 2. Not that it matters much, but that's kind of funny that that works out. And you call it out to rear. So the big thing with this is that on grade 4, you call out 2 units, and everyone keeps saying, oh, you can call out 2 Inlet Pulse, because that's super value, when it's not really, but... with Elder, it's pretty insane, because you have 2 different routes you can go. You can ride into Elder, put a goat into Soul, give it 5k. If you have another one, you can call out a goat, and then call this out, Soul Blast out a goat, call 2 cards. You played 2 cards, you got basically a full field. You got 5 units on board, right? You played 2 cards that whole turn, and you got 5 units, which is insane. That's kind of what the deck has needed for a while, but it needs a lot more than that right now. You can also then call this out, and then that gives you 1 card itself, and then it gives you 2 cards. So on Ride of Elder, you can now get 3 cards. That's pretty huge also. I don't like the fact that everyone keeps gravitating to calling 2 Inlet Pulses, because Inlet Pulses are not going to do anything for you right now. The game is way too fast for you to be sitting there on your 2 Inlet Pulse and try to cycle those out, especially when there's like a bunch of other targets you want to cycle out, and all you're going to do with Inlet Pulse is swing in for 18k. Like, you guys, people want to constantly rag on Magnolia that the deck dies to defensives, and then they want to play Inlet Pulse for 18k and act like that's gonna make a huge difference. This guy is clearly meant for Elder, not just the grade thing, but also the cost. Fair enough, yeah. You know, do you even know what to do with your CB? 100%, yes. That's what I wanted to get into. It's very interesting that it's CB1, Soul Blast 1, because the Soul Blast 1 gets rid of a goat in Souls or puts it in drop, but also, yeah, you have no good ways to use Counterblast. Like, you have to just find ways to make use of your Counterblast. That's been the current issue I have. One of the many issues is that there's just no use to make, there's no good use for all these resources, and now we have one, which is good. If anyone always losing make me, Divine Skill, instantly scoop, and go get lunch. Bushi wants player to use the grade 4 that much by giving the grade 4 buffs, no more grade 3 and mask. No, they'll definitely be using the mask. They give the mask a promo, and both these cards work with the mask, which is really good that they're doing that. I really like that a lot, that they're allowing both decks to coexist, where it's not like a thing in the past where it was like a reverse deck and like the upgraded version of the deck where like, fuck that shit, right, kind of deal. Fuck the reverse bullshit, play this new decker kind of deal. So that's okay. I like that a lot. Same way how, like, sort of by virtue, Leonard Mask and Divinez are 2 things, which is pretty cool. So I like that they're doing that. Problem is the grade 4 outside of VS and Prime aren't good enough to close out games 100%. Especially the mask, the support helps out both. People do indeed try to run 2 inlets. Divine Skill, Cryball Dodge, yep, exactly. Elder has better grind game, but can't close out games to save a life. Mask goes burr, but is bricky, yeah. So basically, the thing is that with Elder, you have to just play a very aggressive early game. You have to enable as many attacks and rush your opponent down as soon as possible so that you can ride into your Elder and your win condition be it's 6 attacks, right? It's not use 6 attacks to push for game, because you play way too many cards, too many resources to get to that point, that you really, no matter how many Inlet Pulses you play, you're not really going to be able to have a steady game plan, right? Not to mention those Inlet Pulses you lose, you then have to fill up on board again. This isn't set 4 when you could just ride Inlet Pulse, and it's actually a good option to have, because we don't really have good shield value, or we just don't really have shield value like that where we can, or a good plussing like that where 18k actually matters. It does not. So constantly calling out an 18k unless you draw 1 at the end of the battle is not going to be a game changer, which is why I'm pretty annoyed about the second skill mainly, because all it does is when it attacks, you choose the Vanguard, and for every 2 grades it gets 5k. So again, usable turn 2, which is decent. You can call this out, not use the first skill, intercept, and then call this from drop, call 2 things. But, you know, on Elder, it becomes plus 10. It becomes 20 plus 5 from Elder becomes 25. That is not great. That is not great. I wish it got a little extra power. Just a tiny bit to hit over 28 by itself. To hit 30 somehow. If this was like for every grade get 5, right? This would have been decent. Cause like even in Magnolia Masques, that wouldn't have been that big of a deal. You would have played this in Magnolia Masques and it would have been decent. If it was like for every 5 get power. If it was like the maid promo, if it was like for every 5 get power, it would get plus 15 on Magnolia Masques, so it'd be 25. And then on the marker, it would jump up to what? 40? And that's okay. On Persona Ride, it's 50. You can already do that with the deck anyways, right? So giving you another option to do that, I don't think would have been that big of a deal. Especially since you can't really use the first skill. It's, you know, I don't know. Could very easily just been 5k for each grade, and this would actually been playable. Because the deck, of course, has this huge power issue where it has a couple of issues right now, where it has to rely on the grade 4 to really close out games. But the grade 4 is not strong enough to close out games. And then it has no huge haymakers, right? It has no way to generate these haymakers for all these attacks, so they're all smaller attacks. So overall, these 2 cards are great. They could have been better. They are neutered for no real reason that I can think of. It seems kind of silly, honestly, but I might be harshly judging them. I don't know. I haven't tested that. We'll get into that in a bit. But you know, it's still a good effect. It's just, I don't know. The whole gang of Starkea cards today just have all these unnecessary restrictions for some reason. I don't know why. It must be something related to the new Zorga or something like that, where he must do something that has to restrict this stuff. Is the only real thing that I can think of. Or my usual theory is that they're a bunch of babies and they're scared of Magnolia being good, because it's not Zorga and it's a green deck, and they fucking hate green decks and they don't want them to be good. So they're still, you know, Magnolia's still paying atonement for the one time she was good. That's the only thing I can think of, honestly. It's the fear of Magnolia being good. Essentially, yeah. I don't understand why they think like, oh, 6 attacks from a fucking cat? No fucking way. Shut that shit down right now. Shiranui? He steals your opponent's rear guards and can still attack and restand? Yes. Give the stamp, print a bunch of copies of that. That sounds great to me. Let's see. I don't think I have any decks for Magnolia. No, that have 50 cards. So I have like, what number am I up to? Every time I make a deck, I'd go name a deck 001 and just keep going up. For Magnolia, we're up to 5. Yeah, this will be number 15 because this is 14. So this is a Magnolia Masques build. So we'll do this one first. This one's pretty old, to be honest. I think this is as soon as it came out in English, we built this to test it out. Whereas Black Tears, I took them out for the so you can have easy access to the promo. That's how I'm planning on playing the deck when the promo comes out. But I don't feel like you really need Black Tears because orders aren't that important in this deck to that extent. I still feel like you can run the deck orderlessly and it'll be fine. It's just you don't have a good riot line to make use of it. What am I talking about? Yeah. No. I was trying to make space for this, but you don't need this in Magnolia Masques. Never mind. You just need this, this guy. Yeah. And then real quick, you should get rid of the grade 0 starter for the Grand Via starter. No buys whatsoever. Yeah, I didn't think so. But yeah, this is the other grade 0 order I was talking about. So this is grade 0. So obviously Raw Intelligence is what you would play. But there is this, which is not a good option, but it does exist. And then this, unless you play like the token route, which is probably the only good ride line for this deck. But yeah, I forgot Rosing. Yeah. I thought of this because it's the only other grade 0 order that I can think of. Because I don't think we have like any Cray Elemental. Yeah, we don't. So this is the only other thing you can play, and it's not worth it. It's basically a worse Wild Intelligence in every way, especially since you're playing actual Magnolia. But I don't think you want Wild Intelligence. I don't know. It wouldn't be a bad option to play 1 just because you can search it out. In case you don't need to search this out for some reason, you can do that, but I don't think it's worth it. They're set 13? What about set 13? mean the lion? Oh, the grade 2. I've been looking at. I have a bunch of copies of these. I have a bunch of copies of these because I know this is gonna be pretty good. Eventually, this sounds like something that would be good in Magnolia Masques. So honestly, I feel like getting rid of this for this. You know what? I'm gonna just do it. We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll just do it. And then we'll test it, and if it sucks, it sucks. Hey, it's Curly from the future here, and I've got a quick replay for a match I had on stream after putting in the new Inquin here. It's actually going to be a mirror match. We're both actually using the new cards. Let's just go ahead and jump into it here. So I am going first here. I'm going to go ahead and draw for turn. And I'm going to choose to discard the goat. We're going to get the energy crest. We're playing with the new rules already for the cards, energy crest, the whole shebang. I'll use the skill of Rancor Chain here to draw 2, and I'm going to actually, unfortunately, not get an order, so we're going to discard 2 cards here. I'm going to discard the new card, the Incane, because of the fact that I have the dragon in hand. I'm hoping that I can use that later on, since I already have a Magnolia Mask. I was hoping to maybe work that out. Possibly forgetting the fact that I can't use it on Magnolia Masques because it only searches out a Magnolia with a different card name for some reason. So my opponent here, Gunmetal Gator, is going to swing in. They're actually playing, instead of the Rancor Chain in the right line, they're playing here the Lepicore, which is pretty interesting. They're going to swing in. I'm going to just take both of these attacks, go to 2 damage here. We're going to draw into a Divinez here, which is not going to be the best, to be totally honest with you. Because we don't really have anything good to discard, so we're gonna have to discard the Maleva promo here. We can play the Bis to get our first Dragon Tree marker, but of course we don't have any of the Serpent to actually get the mask. So I decide here to not give him any counterblast and swing in to the Sero and get myself a heal trigger, which is nice. This puts me back down to 1 damage, and also puts this Force Glow Dragon into drop, so I can actually go ahead and use that. For the ride line, he's also over here going to be using the new promo Popowa here, which just says you can energy blast 4 whenever you were to ride, and instead of having to discard, which is really nice. So that is going to work out. I'm going to go ahead and get another heal trigger, which is just going to bring me down to 1 damage, so somewhat stabilized by that fact. And I'm going to draw into a Magnolia Mask again, which means losing the Incane is kind of okay. It's kind of a really weird card where it's really necessary to help you get the pieces that you need, but at the same time, it once it fulfills its purpose, it does absolutely nothing else. We're gonna have a completely dog shit turn here where I'm not gonna be able to get any markers or really play anything else of worth, and instead I'm going to have the dry check and get 2 of the Misty Habitats, which is extremely unfortunate. Meanwhile, Gunmetal here on the other side is going to be able to go full hog, able to go ahead and use the Mask of Hydrogroom to get his hog and actually be able to play this turn to get a Dragon Tree marker. But of course, the Elwef here is the Serpent is the better option because it allows you to thin the deck out, get your Mask of Hydrogroom from the deck. He's going to go ahead and play down the marker. Since I sort of counterblast an item here, they only have the 1 counterblast, so they can't actually get any more markers, which is of course the biggest weakness of this deck is that they need a bunch of counterblast. So getting counterblast to 9 hurts a lot. You can see the Lepicore come out here from drop. Whenever you ride a Magnolia Mask, this can actually come out from drop. It's really cool because unlike Maple, it's not in ride phase, and also it doesn't check if you already have a copy of it. So you can technically, if you have 4 of these in drop, you can call out all 4, which is kind of nutty. They're going to go ahead and play the Sero and whiff as per usual, as Sero is to do. They are going to be able to get the Persona Ride here to the back row, but it's not going to entirely matter because of the fact that only 1 of these can attack from the back row, but this Lepicore is going to be pretty big. They're going to go ahead and swing in with the Vanguard here. I'm going to go ahead and take this because I of course need to counterblast also, and we're going to go, and I think that's our last copy of Inkang. That's Inkenwin, which is going to go into the damage zone. I'm going to then take some more attacks here, go all the way to 4. Still having no Death Elwith to actually get myself the Magnolia Mask. But I am able to make a bit of a play here to use the Misty Habitat and actually hit the Death Elf, which I can then use to counter that Soul Blast, get finally a second Dragon Tree marker, which I can play down here. Then use the Mask of Hidjagrum, add it to my hand with the skill of the Death Elf, and then get the Mask of Hidjagrum. I had a couple of options here. I could have, like, for example, played the Dragon here and Counter Blast and actually get myself the Goat and also the Enquin here and actually use the skill to counter Soul Blast and then discard the Mask of Hidjagrum because I already played an order this turn. So that part is actually really convenient. And I'm able to get out the last copy of Magnolia Masques from my deck, which is really sick. Then I can use the skill of the Magnolia Masques from drop to then Persona Ride, or more specifically ride into Magnolia Masques and then Persona Ride. My back row is going to be able to get power because they are on the Dragon Tree markers. However, the Enquin here that I have ain't gonna do a dang thing, and personally I don't have anything good in my hand to actually replace it with. So it's kind of a useless card, which is my biggest issue with it, is that it just doesn't do anything. I decided to use the skill here of Magnolia Masques to remove the original Magnolia so that when my back row attacks I can retire. And then we're going to go ahead and swing in first with the Force Glow Dragon to give 5k power to the Magnolia Masques, which is pretty nifty because now it hits 28. So going up against 13k Vanguard, 28 is a really good number to hit, because it requires quite a lot of guard from my opponent. They are actually going to guard this, even though they need the Counter Blast. They're going to go for a 1 to pass, which kind of makes sense just because of the fact that that thing was probably going to be retired anyways. However, they can just take these other attacks, right? So I'm going to go ahead and swing with my my Death Elf here. It's going to do 1 damage. They're going to hit a draw trigger. Then I'll swing with my back row Hog here, and finally end up swinging with my Goat. Able to retire his whole board and then draw 1 card to finally stabilize and be in a pretty decent spot finally after all has been said and done. You can see here he actually has the Angel Ladder, which is pretty interesting. It's somewhat required in Magnolia Masques if you're going to play any Regalia, because you obviously want to keep your units on board. Then we're going to see the the Hog. I can't say these guys' names, so I just say Hog and Serpent. If they're going to play the Hog here to get a 3rd or a 2nd Dragon Tree marker, and then they're going to, I think they activate the Angel Ladder at some point. No, they're gonna play this to get a 3rd marker here, and then now I think they go ahead and use the Force Glow after this. Now that they have 3 markers. Sorry, I should have watched this replay beforehand so I had a better idea, but I kind of just went into this as quickly as I could because I'm a little bit strapped for time. I was editing the video and I had the clip from the stream where we actually did this fight, but I figured it'd be just a lot quicker if I just did the replay and cut out all the parts of us like thinking and all that jazz. I'll probably put up the speed for the next one, for the Elder one, so it's a little bit quicker. But they are going to use the Force Glow here to call out the Goat, the Enquin, and also the Sero. They actually can't use this skill because it searches out for a Magnolia with a different card name, so this is actually technically an illegal play. They could have searched out a different grade, a normal order with grade 0 possibly, but they would not be able to actually search this out. And then they're going to go ahead and use their Energy Blast to draw 1 card. So just keep that in mind. I didn't catch this, I think, during the game, or I did and maybe just let it go. I don't remember. But yeah, that is technically something you can't do, and it is really annoying that you can't use this in Magnolia Masques after you're on Magnolia Masques. I think that's the silliest thing in the world, to be honest, especially because Magnolia Masques needs this way more than Magnolia Elder, in my opinion, because you definitely need to ride constantly your Magnolia Masques to get the Persona Ride. You obviously want to see them, whereas in Elder, if you don't ride Elder, it's not the worst thing in the world. You can still work, whereas Magnolia Masques kind of falls pretty flat without the Persona Ride. As you can see here, they can't even swing at our Vanguard with this Force Glow because he's only 10k because they didn't hit the Persona Ride here. So they're going to go ahead and instead swing at the Force Glow that I have here. And I'm going to go ahead and let that go. I was thinking if I should let that stay, but they decided to keep that. They're going to go ahead and swing with the Hog here to retire then my front row. Then they're going to go ahead and swing here with the Vanguard for 18k. I'm going to go ahead and PG this because I have not seen a lot of triggers come out. From their side, they're actually going to be able to hit the heal trigger, which is going to give the Enquin the ability to actually be able to do some damage here. They're also going to be able to heal 1, putting them at 3, which is kind of annoying. They're going to swing with the Enquin and then swing with the Sarrow to retire my back row, but I'm actually going to hit the over trigger. It was pretty huge here because it stops this onslaught and also lets me draw a card. But they're going to still swing with the go, draw one card, and then retire my Inkwin, who was just there. And they're going to have the pretty stacked hand. Of course, not all of it is super useful, but it's still a pretty good hand. I'm going to go ahead and throw down the Maleva here to Soul Blast 1, counter charge, and also gets 5k. Since it's on the Dragon Tree marker, it's going to get a little bit more power. After that, I'm going to go ahead and play the Misty Habitat here, which is going to allow me to look at the top 7 cards of my deck, just about half of my deck at this point because I've gone through so much of it, to actually hit the Sarrow here, which is really good because I can not only use the skill to Soul Blast, look at the top 5 for Magnolia Masques, which we all know was going to whip anyways, but I can more importantly give Persona right to my back row. So this Maleva is now 40k. We can go ahead now and use the energy generator to energy blast 7 in order to draw. This was just when the energy generator was put into the game, so I was having a lot of trouble actually getting figuring out how this works, and then I got stuck where it didn't let me go down. So we're going to draw one, and unfortunately we're going to get the Misty Habitat again. I was hoping for another attacker. Because of the cards they had in their hand, I decided to not, for example, throw down this Magnolia Masques as an extra attacker or something like that, because there was just no way that I was going to be able to end this game out. So I think here I decided to just go ahead and get rid of their rears and give them just the one counter blast so that they could work with. Not that it really matters because they already have a bunch of Dragon Tree markers. So they're going to go ahead and be able to Persona right here. Their hand is so big that on CFA it's actually getting smaller. And since they rode in ride phase, they can actually go ahead and use the skill of the goat to actually be able to get another 5k onto their Magnolia Masques, as well as using the Sarrows to give their back row the Persona ride. Then they're actually going to go ahead and play their Regales piece, the Angel Ladder, which is going to put itself to soul, allow them to draw 1, make it so that their rear guards can't be retired during my turn, which doesn't matter because I already used up my 1 way to retire for the entire game, and also give the Vanguard an additional 5k power. So this is now a 33k. So even if I had a front trigger, I would not be able to guard this with a 1 card guard. So this is going to require quite a couple of cards to guard, especially if they check a trigger. They're going to go ahead and play out the Force Glow Dragon after playing the Maleva to counter charge. They're going to be able to do quite a lot of damage this turn. They're going to go ahead and use the Force Glow to bring back the Godot, and then actually bring out the Popowa, which is kind of interesting. Popowa can give itself 5k, so it does swing in for 25. It doesn't make the hugest difference because that's still a trigger to guard it, but you know, it's better than me using a crit versus me having to use a draw if it was 20k. For example, I could have guarded this attack with a draw trigger, but I don't have any of that stuff. So we're just going to take this as the Magnolia Masques pumps up even bigger to 38k. I decided to PG this, discard the Misty Habitat. They're going to draw the new Cycler card and check a critical trigger to make this Popowa actually hit 35, which is a lot better number than it would have been originally. And that's going to be the game as they swing in with the Godot.